Hello and welcome back to the On The Slab Horror Show, the show that we bring to you each and every Friday night. Gentlemen, why do we do this on a Friday night?
Because Friday night is horror night.
Exactly.
Absolutely it is. Said with a real somber tone that it's not Friday.
I know. I know.
um, but as you can see, a mystical being that shows up from time to time is back. Welcome back, Ian the Dynamo Kelly. How are you, sir?
I'm here. That's it. Like you basically, I'm like a ghost at this stage. Like you
You're
just
an
have
you're an
to.
enigma.
Yeah, you have to summon me. Get me on the right. Get me on the right night.
Yeah, you're an enigma at this stage. Ted, that was a good little pun you threw in the middle there.
Yes, you have to say his name 3 times.
You can see by the name there, Gem Finder Ted. How are you, sir?
Oh, not too bad. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on now. You've been knocking it out of the park with a lot of interviews and stuff.
We're
But it's
getting
always
there.
fun to do something like this as well every once in a while to get the old crew, Sans King. But
Yeah.
he's, for this, he is here in spirit.
He has
He's
that
not.
pesky thing work.
Yeah, he's not. When I say he's here in spirit, he's not dead. I just want to be very clear about that. He's not dead.
He
Yeah,
might
Like,
be. He might be. But
I
we
heard
cannot.
from him. He's all right. He's
Oh.
he's alive and well.
But as you can guess by Ted's name, Gem Finder, this is underrated horror movies episode where we'll all throw together a list each, and we'll give you some absolute gems to watch that aren't mainstream horrors.
Yes. To be fair, this was something we just planned during the week, wasn't it? It was like
Yeah, you just came out with it. Now I will say, King sent me a list on Wednesday, and I had this idea completely wrong. I thought you meant unsung heroes in horror movies.
that's
So
what I thought.
I have that list sat there waiting to go for another episode, and I
Oh,
think it's going to be a
there you
belter.
go. So we get 2 for 1.
But that's a show for a different night. This is movies on the night now. Your idea. Do you want to give us your first pick?
Yeah, look, I didn't do it in any particular order. I
Oh,
assume
absolutely,
Yeah,
it's
same,
impossible.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, it is impossible because that would have been like we'd have had to put this back a week.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go with one from. Can anyone guess the decade?
The 80s.
70s.
80s. No, Ted got it. Yeah, you're close, Greg. I'm usually in around that ballpark. I went from one from 1988, so we're getting close to the 90s here.
Oh, I have an idea what it might be.
Have a guess.
The Blob.
No, but that was almost gonna be there, my friend.
Damn.
Almost gonna be there. So I've actually went with Pumpkinhead,
Oh, what a fucking movie.
renowned special effects creator, obviously Stan Winston.
I thought you were going to say something different. I had a different film in my head that I was going to guess that you're going to say for
What were you gonna say?
88. And I think it was 88. I could be off by a year or two. I thought you were going to say Maniac Cop.
It's 86, isn't it? Or 87?
I think it's 88.
He's right in the year. Ted is right in the year, but that's not what I've chosen at this particular time.
No, that's what I thought you were going to say because I know you're a big fan of it.
Good guess though. No, I went with
Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead because I actually
Yeah, no,
watched,
Pumpkins, it's a good one.
I watched Pumpkinhead quite a lot back in the day, and I recently watched it. I'd say about 2 months ago. Because the great thing about YouTube, that's the great thing, kids.
Point on.
You'll
It's
find-
almost always free.
it's amazing. Just type in the name of the movie and full movie.
Especially those old 80s films.
The Shawshank Redemption's up on it, for Christ's sakes.
One
Yeah.
of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah, 100%. By one of the greatest writers ever. The greatest.
One of the biggest flops in cinema as well.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about Pumpkinhead, it actually it didn't make a major impact at the box office either. And it did
Never
get
would
to-
that kind of
got
movie.
to the box office, obviously, but it definitely is. I think with ourselves and most horror fans, they would agree that it's a very underappreciated movie. But yeah, that's what I went with. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a girl on Instagram called Pure Horror who has, I think it must be about a 2 or 3 foot statue of Pumpkinhead.
I think I've seen that.
Nice.
I sent it to you before.
You
It's
did,
so
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
You did. Say
Jesus
that, yeah.
Christ. I was looking at it going, I want that.
Yeah, what you would do to get your hands on that? Get rid of the one of the kids' rooms, Greg.
Remortgage you.
Yeah.
Ted, what do you got?
So I I kind of had the feeling that with Ian and Carl that we'd see a lot of the older films here. So I actively chose to kind of stay away from those older ones. I
I
didn't want
knew
to
you
go
were
old
going to do this as well, Ted.
because
That's
I was like,
weird how our
I
brains
don't
work.
like what we'll end up doing is we'll all just say the same one. So I was like, right, I'm gonna go and stick with kind of newer ones. But I have done one or two from the 90s. Um, but I said I'll try and stay kind of newer so that I don't clash with you boys too much. Um, but I went for a film, Stay Alive. I don't know if you boys have ever
Yeah.
Good movie.
seen it. It's
Good movie.
2006-ish, I think.
Yes.
I
Yeah, it
still
is.
remember. I
Yeah.
still remember the video case as well. Your man's hands in the handcuff, the red case.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not yeah, so they're in handcuffs and he's got a controller in his
Yeah.
hands and there's like blood dripping off it. Yeah, like and that's what sold it to me the first time was like back when, you know, you'd go into a shop like your Extra Vision or Advanced Vision as it was in Bray, and
It
you'd
was
be looking
Extra
at
Vision
it.
and Bray. Sorry, we're not all from the rich part of Bray.
Well, no,
Um,
that's a great show, Ted.
Stay
'Cause
Alive. It's
I
not a
thought you
big
were going to say
film.
Red Eye, by the way, just as a
Ooh, yeah, no, that would have been a good one as well.
yeah.
No,
Similar.
I mixed them up. That's the one with Jodie Foster,
Which
or
one?
is that the one with Cillian Murphy, Red Eye?
Red
Red
Eye is
Eyes,
Cillian Murphy on it,
Cillian
right?
Murphy's
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
Right.
show.
Just
Greg.
where you were saying there, Ted. You thought Ian and Carl go very oldish. Carl has 3 movies. 1, 2, 3, 4 movies. Outside of the 2000s.
Outside of as in like before the 2000s.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, you went quite new then.
Yeah,
Not like
I
King.
was surprised.
Yeah, not like King.
I'd say he left it to me. Probably knew.
Yeah.
So I'll give you one of King's ones. I haven't seen very many of these ones. He has a movie called Where from 2013. I'm guessing it's a werewolf movie.
Nice.
I have no idea. I'll have to watch it myself. So
I
it's
will
gonna be
do. What year was it?
2013. So it's just WER.
Yeah. I can't say I've seen it, but I'm assuming, yeah, based on that, it's some sort of werewolf film. Yeah.
Sorry, King. Yours are going to be just a quick picking out because obviously I can't say it and I haven't seen it.
Directed by William Brent Bell, starring AJ Cook as a defense attorney who discovers that her client is a werewolf. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So werewolf. Yeah. And we all love him.
William Brent Bell's a decent old director as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, I'll give you my first one. My first one just falls outside the 2000 bracket. I went with Event Horizon here.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
This Sam Neill, it's just unreal. The big spaceship that comes back from hell and brought some stuff with it. The special effects in this were brilliant.
Yeah.
And like I seen it young enough. One of my mates' brothers let us watch it, and there's a scene that always sticks with me when they turn Sam Neill around and his 2 eyes have been carved out and the 2 X's on it. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's a very well shot movie. I think it was 97 when it came out. But like it was a good cast, good movie, and it really fucked with your mind.
That's kind of what you want sometimes from them. And as you said, you know, like that scene with the X's on the eyes, you don't get to see it happening, if I remember correctly. It's just the face turns around. And I think sometimes that's better. Like nowadays we see a lot of, they have to show you it happening because you want the blood and the gore. But sometimes it's more effective to just have, oh shit, where's this lad's eyes like?
Yeah.
I think there is a lack of that in horror now, where you see some characters being killed off screen where you don't see anything.
Yeah.
And you just find them and you're like, oh, where, like, I know in the likes of some of the Friday the 13th it happened, and you see it off screen happening where a big character has been killed off and they just find them.
Yeah, you open like a press or something and it falls out the door. That's an old trope. You don't see that much anymore.
It's a shame because it's a really good one as well.
Yeah.
So that's my first pick.
Okay, back to me. So
back to you.
I have one movie from the 70s in this, believe it or not, and I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 movies from the 90s. So you'll be happy to know that it's not all 80s.
Late for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna see if you're gonna guess this one, right? So this movie was based off. Okay, so it was directed by Tom Holland. Anyone who doesn't know who Tom Holland is
Spider-Man.
yeah, no.
I fucking loved that joke when you say it in horror talk.
Yeah,
People are like Tom Holland. Tom Holland's only 22 or 23. No, pal, the real Tom Holland.
the real Tom Holland. Yeah, no, because Tom Holland. I mean, we probably haven't talked about him enough on this. You know,
Yeah,
on this show. For me, Tom Holland is like literally the epitome of. He's up there in the upper echelon of those old school directors, just after the likes of John Carpenter and Wes Craven. You know what I mean? He's not far behind. Not far behind. I mean, you know, it would be easy for me because if we're doing kind of unsung heroes. You know, when you look at the likes of Greg, one of our favorites, Fright Night. You know what I mean?
Good old Charlie Brewster.
Ah, good lord, you know. But this one was actually a novel by Richard Bachman and Stephen King. He's getting at you.
It's not Nightbreed.
No, no, it's not. So it was directed by Tom Holland. It was actually, um, it was originally.
When you said Tom Holland, I immediately thought Fright Night,
Yeah, but you see, I wouldn't call that
an underrated one.
yeah, because it's quite highly
Exactly.
rated. Yeah.
exactly.
It's same. He done Child's Play as well, didn't he? He done the first Child's Play.
Yes, he
Bastard.
did.
Sure
He
you
did.
him.
This movie, it was kind of like people thought it was it was kind of like it would be, I suppose, a B or C list movie. I know I'm keeping you in suspense here, but it didn't. It kind of had a local box office type of deal. Um, Budget was 8 million, made 15 million, so not a roaring success, but it has become a cult classic within certain sects of the sects. No, not sex or not gender. Not
Yeah.
gender. I went for the 1996 movie Thinner.
Oh, what a movie!
Yeah.
Very underrated
The
movie.
fat lawyer who ends up.
White man from town. He kills a gypsy, while he's getting something done to him, some fellatio, let's say.
She was
And
playing fellatio tennis.
yes, exactly. But they basically put a hex on him, and he, as you said, Greg, you're right. He's a big fat lawyer, and he's basically just a soulless mofo. And yeah, it goes from there. If you haven't seen it, again, another movie that you'd easily get on YouTube, I'd imagine. Or you definitely get it on one of the. You get it very, very easily. But it's a really, really good movie. It looks like one of those made for TV movies, like, you know, when you look at it now. But the practical effects in it are actually really good as well, aren't they? The bodysuit.
See, I feel real sorry for a lot of King stuff. Like, the books themselves could have made really good movies, but he seemed to have sold them out to the likes of college people and stuff, and they became made to TV movies. And now no one really wants to touch them.
Exactly. Whereas this one, he got lucky here with obviously Tom Holland. I mean, and it's like Tom Holland was obviously in the height of his I suppose notoriety in 1996 as well. So it's not like he was just some guy. But I mean, Holland was probably at that point, Greg, where he could just pick and choose what he wanted to do, and probably
I'd say probably just starting to come down a bit.
Yeah, so he probably thought, I'll just do this because I like the story, you know.
Yeah, it's a good shout, that.
But the thing is, you see, even though it was marketed as Stephen King's thriller, it was actually directed by Tom Holland, but it was also written by Michael McDowell and Tom Holland. So they kind of done it to their own.
It was one of the first ones that King didn't have a chance to try and get in on.
Exactly. So I'm not too sure now. I'd be lying if I told you I read the novel Thinner. Actually, must put it on my list, to be fair. But I mean, in terms of the movie, I thought it was an absolute roaring success. It's basic, isn't it? It's simple.
Yeah, that's what you need though. Sometimes, like, you don't need anything special or, you know, out there. Yeah. Something simple is sometimes the best way to go.
And it was practical effects as well. Still, where they were using practical effects, you know what I mean?
Practical is king, though.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's my second pick. A 1996 movie. There you go, guys. Who would have thought?
That's not like Ian.
No, not like him at all.
What do you got?
I'm going to stick with the 90s as well here, but I'm going to go for one that I don't know. Maybe it's not that underrated, but I don't hear it getting talked about a whole lot anymore. And it recently had a remake, and the remake was, by all accounts, quite poor. Um,
Oh, oh
but
no.
the original, I believe, was very well liked. It's supposed to be considered a kid's horror rather than, a more adult one. So like it was one that you watched as a kid, and that like you could show your kids. I went with Roald Dahl's book, The Witches.
Um,
It wasn't scary, but this was one of those ones that you could show to your kids, and it wasn't happy-go-lucky or animated or anything, and the practical effects and stuff in it were
Yeah,
just brilliant. Like if
yeah.
you like, we saw The Mask, obviously, Greg, when we went over for the Love of
yeah.
Horror, and you see it, and you're just like, that is amazingly like well
And
done. Now,
Do you know
Angelica
what?
Houston was
I
fantastic.
I'd give that to Ted actually because it would be that. Believe it or not, that's something that we were shown in school. You know,
yeah,
Yeah, it would be, yeah, because it's a play. Or
yeah,
it's a novel.
and it
yeah,
was actually
it's a kid's
terrifying
book,
when you
like,
watch it as a kid. That whole
yeah,
scene in the hall, and Ted's right. If this had been maybe 10 years ago, you wouldn't call it an unsung hero. You'd probably go,
yeah,
"Oh, people still remember it." But before the remake, it's kind of got lost in the annals of
yeah.
time. So I would call it, yeah,
I
definitely,
think the fact the remake has brought people back to it, and like, because I'd completely forgotten about it.
yeah,
And this
I
was,
agree.
when you were younger, you had like a certain amount of VHS tapes at your house,
Yeah,
and you just kind of had to watch them over and over. This is one
yeah,
that we had at our house.
yeah,
So I would have watched it a lot, and I'd completely forgotten about it. And like obviously they went with the whole the witches are once the makeup comes off, they're ugly with the big nose and the warts and then the bald heads and stuff. And obviously that wasn't allowed in the new film because but like that back then I was like I wasn't scared of it, but back then I was like, geez, this is good, like,
Mm.
you know what I mean?
I,
You're 8 years
I,
older. This is pretty good, like.
Shout
I
out
mean,
to
like,
Roald Dahl as well. Like
Yeah.
literally one of the best writers ever.
And Greg doesn't think so, but
I said I didn't think he was a good writer for kids.
he is a good writer. Yeah, but all he did was kids' books.
No, but I'd agree with Greg in the sense that there is something quite nefarious about his writing. Like, because even
Yeah.
as a kid, I used to read like some of his stuff, and I'd be like, "This is actually terrifying." So,
The
like,
but sure, look, it is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, but
yeah,
again, like I think it's one of those films that everyone had forgotten about until the remake came
I
out,
agree.
and now they've remembered it, and they're like, "No, it is a good film."
The
But I
remake
think,
was trash.
good
yeah,
shout.
the remake was terrible, but I think it brought people back to the original, and now people have started remembering the original. But up until that came out, it was completely forgotten about.
Good shout.
I will say, like, I know when we do these, a lot of the times they're proper in-depth horror, but kids horror is quite important as well when you're growing
Yeah.
up, because
Well,
let's be fair,
Greg, the
unlike
Monster Squad, you know what I mean?
oh,
You know, but like, I mean, that was one of my
87,
yeah. So like, I would have actually been about 4 or 5 when I watched that. I probably because I suppose 87 that was at a time where the video probably didn't get to Ireland until about
89 maybe.
89.
Yeah, you probably didn't get it until the 90s, like.
And I remember watching it. We rented it out in I lived in Fossa Row at the time, and there was a little knockoff video rental store. So we had 5 video stores in Bray actually, around by Molly's shop. If anyone remembers that,
Oh yeah,
in Fossa Row. There was a little video store there where you could actually rent out a VHS player if you weren't
If you
rich
didn't
enough
have
to
one,
be able to
yeah.
buy one, believe it or not. And that's what my dad used to do sometimes, when it was just me and him. And I remember getting that, and I played it up until the end. And you know what? As a kid, take away social media and all that stuff now. I know it's not a movie.
amazing.
Maybe it's a movie someone's picked. I don't know. But I suppose we can give it an honourable mention because Greg only showed his kids recently.
Yeah,
At the time, it was fucking terrifying. Dracula was actually terrifying.
also the scene when the monster comes out of the lake for the bar.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, what the fuck is this? I forgot that happened, and I was watching it with Finn, and I was like, oh shit.
Dude, yeah, like you're probably more scared than him.
I was like, yeah, he's not phased by anything. He's just like,
Well, kids nowadays have this stupid
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, kids horror is quite important,
Yeah.
because obviously, unlike us, Ian and Ted, you being in the same bracket, seeing horror movies that we did way too young, doesn't seem to happen anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
See, I probably didn't see a lot of those horror films until I was a bit older.
Oh.
Like I
Oh.
actually did. Like I'd watched a lot of kids horror and stuff. Like and then like Are You Afraid of the Dark,
Great show.
Goosebumps, stuff like that. Like the TV shows and
Goosebumps,
stuff.
very important.
Like stuff like that I'd watched, but I hadn't watched the likes of well, obviously Scream came out in '96. I didn't watch that until a couple of years later and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
I wasn't watching a lot of these when I was a kid because we didn't have the channel and like
We-
if
at
the
that time
parents
we
had
were
me watching that. Oh,
yeah.
Grew up
Um,
in our Ted grew up in a very Roman Catholic household.
oh, if I was caught watching something like that, there would have been trouble. What are you watching? Why are they killing everyone?
He now has the crow on his shirt.
Yeah.
He's gone anti-establishment. I love it.
Right, I'll give you one of King's ones. Seeing as
Yeah.
we're in the 90s, I'll stick with another 90s one then from him.
Yeah.
This one, me and him have done on the show. It fell through the cracks because it came out around the same time as Sixth Sense and stuff. This was the 99 movie Ravenous.
Yes.
Robert Carlyle, Guy
On the Disney
Ritchie.
Channel still, isn't it? I believe.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
When he texted me to say we'll do this episode, and I hadn't seen it in so long, I forgot. But Robert Carlyle as a bad guy, lads, is just phenomenal as the Wendigo.
You've
Oh,
got me
brilliant.
to got me to watch it, Greg. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I was still living out in Coolock at the time with Rachel's. And I
It's
was
so
like,
fucking good.
yeah, because I remember I was sick at the time. Remember, and I was like, right, lads, I need something to watch. And Carl said, I remember it actually verbatim. Carl was like, Ravenous, just literally Ravenous, and you went, I second that. So I was like,
Yeah.
right, well then, okay. And I remember I put it on because when you're sick, I think it was like flu or COVID or something at the time, and I remember putting it on. And I was like, good lord, this-
How amazing the cinematography was for it. He still goes on. The
So
man
bad.
from Blur, Damon Albarn, done the soundtrack.
yes,
He'll be-
And
he'll be
Rob
so happy
Carlyle,
that I
as you
remember
said,
that.
is-
Carl's gonna be so proud that I remembered that.
Yeah.
He is. You see, Carl, we're always thinking of
But Carlisle as a Wendigo and that just
Man,
steals the fucking show.
it was sick.
There was a good
Yeah,
cast in it too, as
Great
well.
cast. Great
Yeah.
cast.
Guy Pearce, Jeffrey Jones.
Underrated
Um,
actors, both of them.
Well,
Yeah.
we won't go with the latter one because he's in the ball books.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
But yeah, Ravenous was Carl's shout there.
Yeah.
Fucking
nice.
phenomenal show.
Nice.
Um,
Well,
I'll give you as a movie now. Some people might say it's not an underrated movie. I don't think it gets enough love it deserves. It's got its 20th anniversary next year. And it's by a former guest on the show, Neil Marshall. I went with The Descent here.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's one of the best horror movies ever.
You know what? This man, you're always learning on this show. That's the great thing about it. I haven't watched that since I seen it. Believe it or not.
Oh,
It's not something I
so
went
good.
back, and now that's what I'm going to do tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good, so good. Like when we had
Very good.
Neil on the show, one of the lads in another group chat sent me a picture message, and it was like, do you know the scene in Toy Story or in Monsters Inc. when they have the little kid running around in like the octopus thing? I was
Yeah.
like, when you show your kids horror movies, and then you think it's all well and good, and then you show them you scar your 14-year-old for life by showing them The Descent.
Yeah.
And it's the
I know.
picture of the crawler behind you, one for the first time with the night camera on.
Yes.
Oh.
Great film.
Craig Conroy as the crawler was just phenomenal. Neil Marshall was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like what
Well,
a first two movies to do.
I'd agree massively that that is an underrated one. Like although it has a following, if you stopped someone on the street and didn't give them a chance to think about it and said, listen, name and obviously they have to be a horror fan. So you're like, are you a fan of horror? Name your top 10 horrors. Is it going to get in there? Name your top 20. Is it going to get in there? For most people, no,
No.
because it doesn't come to your head that quickly. Do you know what I mean? And that's where I think that's what underrated falls into, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like the-
I
it's
suppose,
like,
yeah.
It's like some of those naughties movies. I know, like, feel free, lads, as well, to throw out an honourable mention if you think of something along the lines of that. Like, straight away, I thought of The Hole as well from 2001.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good
but-
one.
I never liked that. I watched
did.
that.
I
I
thought
watched
Nick-
that because Keira Knightley got her baps out,
I
and that
thought
was
Nick-
about it.
Well, that makes you a bold boy, man, because she was only 16 back then, so you should be.
And I was 11.
Yeah, so he's all right. She's the one that's in trouble there.
Well, she's not the one that's in trouble. Nick Ham, actually, the director. You know what? We're gonna move right along. Fuck you,
Yeah.
Nick Ham. The name says it all, doesn't it? You ham.
It was. I don't remember liking the movie. Now I'd have to go back and watch it. It's been that long.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
Um,
a
well, that's
decent. There was
that's the
decent
thing.
suspense. I know Ted liked it because we talked about that before. I thought it was a decent premise.
Yeah, they had a
But
good idea
but
for it. Yeah,
the descent is a great show, Greg. I'm actually going to go back and watch that because I remember really liking it at the time
it's
as well.
definitely worth a rewatch.
Yeah,
yeah.
100%, 100%.
Right. Back to you then, Ian.
Okay, well, I get to be the dickhead again and change the genre again, so because I don't have any 2000 movies. If people were paying attention, and
Yeah.
that is you, the listeners, I'm talking to, not my two esteemed colleagues. I'm going to bring you all the way back to 1976
Oh, here we go.
from one of my, actually, let's be honest, not one of my favorite director of
Well,
all
it's
time,
Carbon there anyway then.
of course. And I've gone with Assault on Precinct 13.
Do you count this as a horror?
I would, in a way, like it's more of an action thriller, but I mean,
Yeah.
there are like it's an action thriller in name only. Like it's kind of horror in the sense of like,
What happens?
yeah, like it's horrific scenes. You're trapped in a fucking prison that's basically has no lighting. It's
Yeah.
basically been made redundant, and you've got this crazy gang shooting at you and are basically stalking you.
Sounds
Yeah,
like Ballymun.
I
It does
I
sound
think
like Ballymun, actually.
I
Yeah.
think it falls into the same genre of horror as something like Terminator. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's very
Yeah.
action packed and like it can be considered horror, but if someone told you, "Oh, I don't consider that horror," you wouldn't be like, "Well, you're an idiot then." Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's more like you know, there is horror elements in it. Like I said, you're stuck in a building that's basically just recently been made redundant. You're a cop and the only cop in the building, with another cop who has a fucking one of the most wanted felons on the planet. You know, in the country. You know, in your prison until you can get to where you
Nope.
need to go,
Yeah.
and you've no way of communicating to your colleagues. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you're
And
like,
that,
by
that's not
right,
like
the
if you
cop,
put yourself as the guard, like if you put yourself as him, that'd be a terrifying situation.
that's what I mean. So it's
Yeah.
like I can't like if I could contact my colleagues, this game is over quickly because that gang outside are dead.
Yeah.
Because all my
Because you
colleagues are here
can't.
within 2 minutes, but nobody can hear their calls. They have to find a way to try and escape through the tunnels, if you remember, through the sewer, to get up to the other side, just
Yeah.
to try and find an escape route. So I would say there's elements of horror in it.
I think that's
Good
my
movie,
tomorrow
though.
night's watching now.
Yeah, dude. What
I
you say,
haven't
Ted?
watched that. I said I think that's my tomorrow night's watching. I haven't
Oh,
watched
dude,
that
check
in
it. It's on YouTube as
years.
well, and
Yeah,
it's
I haven't
like,
watched it in years. I think I'm gonna
and
have to watch that
this
again.
Clearly, the remake you have to watch because it was better.
now Greg is only winding you up there. Don't be blinded him. Jesus H. Christ.
I think I'll stick with the original.
Yeah.
So
And-
is the remake of Taken Felon 1, 2, 3. That was better too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's like, you know, the great thing about that when you consider it. Now, I didn't choose this obviously as an unsung hero because it's not, but They Live. Like,
Oh.
it's one of those movies very similar to what Carpenter done with They Live and Big Trouble in Little China, where he doesn't necessarily have a soundtrack per se. It's like that one common theme going throughout it.
Yeah.
So like with Assault on Precinct 13, it's just like doom 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 doom, and then the keys kick in, and it's the
Yeah.
same with like Big Trouble in Little China, and They Live is like doom 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 doom. You know,
Yeah, it's the sound you associate with it. Like you hear that, you're like, oh, I know that. I know what that's from.
exactly, and that's what puts him in a different league.
Do you want to know something? The most shocking thing that Hollywood has done is the fact that it's taken until next month for him to get a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Listen,
But see, I don't.
but that's only because he's a rebel, Greg. He never played nice. You know.
Nah, I've said this
Mama,
before.
Papa
Some,
don't like no tattletale.
some of that's to do with like they expect like to have a star on it, you have to pay for it. So like some of that is just people themselves being like, I'm not fucking paying for it.
Well, no, if you get done by the Chamber of Commerce, they pay for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about a man who's created one of the greatest horror franchises in horror and cinematic history.
I do agree, but like a lot of the time, a lot of stars are like, I'm not paying for it, so they'll wait until it gets given to them for free. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think that should have been a name that was a lot higher up. Like the man's pushing on now.
Yeah, but horror doesn't.
I know it doesn't, but
You know what I mean? Like horror doesn't sell in that sense.
it is what it is.
Yeah, but I think John Carpenter goes beyond the realm of horror, doesn't he?
No, he
He's done a
does,
bit of
but
everything.
you
You
know what I mean.
know,
Like
like
people that they don't like to give him
Universal
respect. Like,
basically made, makes a lot of their money off him still with the Halloween Horror Nights and stuff like that. And he transcends like just being the horror actor or horror director, should I say? Even
yeah,
though that's what he is, he is. Yeah, no, I agree with both points, but I think we're. Oh, by the way, kids, They Live is also up on YouTube for free now,
yeah.
Yo,
most recently. So,
it's
yeah, go
unreal.
check out Assault on Precinct 13, 1976. Doesn't feel like a 1976 film at all.
It's
Um,
far ahead of its time, the way he filmed
way
it.
ahead of its time.
Yeah.
In fact, there's some 80s horrors that you'd look at from 1984 and 85 that would be considered classics, and the shooting of this is right up there with
Is
them.
way better than them. Yeah.
Yeah, and better. Yeah, so that's my
Shout.
what number is that now?
3.
3.
We've kind of got ourselves a bit distracted when we're talking about these films because we're
This
so in love with them.
I know.
this actually might have to be broken down to a two-parter, lad.
Next one I'm gonna go quite new, and this is one that was suggested to me by Ian. I Came By. This was a Netflix film, and it's not a horror in the classic sense. It's more of a psychological thing. Like, this is the story, and if this was actually happening, it'd be terrifying. So similar to Assault on Precinct 13, but
I
Haven't
have a
seen
bit
it.
of a trend, don't I?
yeah, it's from 2002, Greg, and it's still on Netflix. It's definitely
Well,
worth a
Give it
watch, though.
So
Yeah.
I
So
will
can
give
I
it a
can I
watch.
take credit for that too as being like a modern pick as well, even though I didn't pick
Yeah, you could, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
You're the one who mentioned it originally, so
it.
Right, I'll give you King's next one. This one was actually on mine until I was writing King's list down, so I took it off mine. He went with the 2008 movie Midnight Meat Train, Bradley Cooper
Nice.
and Vinnie Jones.
yeah.
Nice.
It's a quality little having a serial killer on a train who
Yeah.
just carries a big lump hammer around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is
Again,
what it is,
simple,
isn't
and
it?
it works.
It's on
Cooper was
YouTube
brilliant.
also.
It's on Netflix as well, I think.
Oh well, then. Well, if you
Yeah.
can't afford Netflix.
Vinnie Jones was brilliant in that role, and he plays that kind of stoic role quite well. He does it quite well in Gone in 60 Seconds as well.
And everything he does, he plays it really well.
I think it's great. Yeah.
So that was Carl's one. So I have one here now. It's a what do they call it? They call it black horror, don't they? When it's a comedy horror.
Sometimes, yeah, it's a bit like a weird term, but yeah.
And I was actually in the building that this was filmed in. I went to a couple of house parties there in Inniskerry. This is the movie Stitches.
Ah,
Yeah.
Ross Noble as a killer clown. Absolutely amazingly done movie, all practical effects, and the fact that it was filmed local enough to where we're all from is
Wicklow.
awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I nearly had that on my list, and I was writing it down, and I was like, you know what, I don't need to bother, because I already know that Greg's going to put it on his list. I was like, I don't need to put it on mine, because Greg's going to put it on his. Like, I knew you would have it.
I didn't like it at the time when I first saw it, which is funny enough. But
Oh, really?
yeah, but I remembered that I happened to be under the influence of a few healthy beverages and probably something else as well. Younger days.
You had a few libations on you, did you?
Younger days, and then I remember I watched it about 2 years ago again, and it was fucking amazing. I watched that and Shrooms back to back.
I fucking hate
yeah.
shrooms.
And yeah, because it was funny because I liked Shrooms at the time. Maybe that's why. So, well, that could be real. But yeah, no, great show, great.
The eggs in it were brilliant. They're all the clowns painting their eggs.
It was amazing.
But yeah, that was my one. Or that was my one.
Right. Well,
So back to you, Ian.
I'm going to 1985 now, year after my birth, and I'm going to bring it back to the werewolves. So you think I can guarantee you have both got it.
Howling. No, it was 87, wasn't it?
What the way I always say is the most
How would it
underrated
be?
werewolf movie.
How would it be highly rated, wouldn't it?
Silver Bullet.
Yeah.
Was that 85?
Yep.
Fuck
1985.
me.
Yeah.
I don't know what made me think that was 89.
Good old Gary Busey. Again, Greg, it shows you that the
Abuse.
the abuse cinematography in it was absolutely fantastic. Again, there's a trend here. Another fucking
Made for
Stephen King
TV movie.
novella. Obviously Stephen King's one was Cry of the Werewolf or Cycle of the Werewolf. Sorry, my apologies. But Corey Haim, Gary Busey,
Yeah. Corey Haim
others.
was just one of those actors that in the 80s, wasn't he? There was just
Yeah, the director Dan Attias, I don't know a lot about, to be fair.
done a good job of
Um,
this. That's all we need to know.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I do know that it was actually the film was. I'm just looking here on Wikipedia, and I'm correct in saying, yeah, just verified this. It was written by Stephen King and produced by Marta De Laurentiis. So obviously Stephen King had a big hand in this one.
That
Uh,
Johnny Ace's wife, was it?
yeah, I was. That's why I was. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, shit, man.
Ugh.
This could go bad. But the wife has nothing to do with it.
No.
But yeah, no, fucking. I think the three of us agree, and I know King does.
Oh yeah,
I
great.
think of all the werewolf movies, it's definitely the most underrated one, if not one of them anyway.
Yeah.
Company
Up
with
there.
Wolves is another one.
Yeah, yeah. But I think Silver Bullet, in terms of being, again, another kind of, not necessarily a mainstream movie. Again, local box office, 7 million budget, 12.4 million at the box office. So like,
Makes money.
You've doubled your money. But
Yeah.
but great movie. Check it out. Really fun movie.
Absolutely. It's a good show. Ted?
Yeah, I'm gonna go again with another relatively new one, and I don't know, maybe people would consider this one quite well known, but I don't hear it getting talked about a whole lot. I went with the Menu.
I haven't seen it. I can't even comment on it. I heard good things, but
And bloody fantastic. One of my
This is-
favorite modern films.
This is one of my favorite films of the last few years, like
Yeah.
genuinely right up there.
Me too.
Like it's just everything they do in it is just so good. Ralph Fiennes, Nicholas
There's-
Hoult, and
there's
Anya
my,
Taylor-Joy, brilliant.
there's my watching for tomorrow then.
Yeah,
Oh man, yeah, you've got man. It's fucking
like this is one of those films that I would happily, if someone was like, "Oh, we're gonna watch this," I'd put it on, and then I went to somebody else's house the next day, and they're like, "We're gonna put the Menu on," I'd be like, "Yeah, that's fine. Put it on again, man. Like that's fucking deadly."
and it's not easy to call either. You would think after the fact, how did I not get it? But it's not. It's
Yeah,
really,
the
really
whole
good.
thing, you kind of don't know what's going on, and then it gets there, and you're like, "How the fuck did I not get that this is what was going to happen?" Like, no, it's brilliant. Like,
Yeah,
That's my watching for tomorrow then.
beautiful.
yeah.
Well, Greg,
Right. King has a very early Michael Rooker movie here from 1986.
you've gone 80s. I like it.
He's gone Henry, the Portrait of the Serial Killer.
Ooh. Well,
Can't say I know it.
I
Don't think I've ever seen that.
I have.
I've seen it once when I was about 15. I rented it out, and I remember the video box of it was Michael Rooker looking in the mirror,
Yep.
and it was his reflection is what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And I thought it was. I rented it out thinking it was about obviously the English monarchs or whatever. I just remember it being dark as fuck and grisly.
It's nasty.
Yeah.
I watched. Yeah. Carl would bring the mood down, wouldn't he?
Fucking prick. He's not even here and he's wrecking the place.
It is a great show though. It's I watched it again recently enough in the last year anyway, and it's nasty. It's one of those kind of, you would almost call it what do they
Horror
call it,
film.
slasher
Snuff.
porn, or it's nasty. But again, great. It serves a purpose. You know what I mean? It's not just made for the sake of it. Like it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I have
Greg?
one here now. So it's one of the only couple of movies that I ever gave Rob Zombie credit for.
Ooh.
And I went to House of a Thousand Corpses here.
Yeah, I knew that when you said it was Rob Zombie. I was like, "Well, there's only one
Oh,
film you give
Well, I
some
knew it
credit
was
for."
going to
So.
Devil's Rejects. 'Cause
Wait,
that's kinda giving
Well, no, they're the only two movies I'll give him credit for.
But I
Because
mean,
everything
Devil's
else,
Rejects is the one that gets its due. I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
Corpse is the one that doesn't. Yeah.
yeah, like Devil's Rejects is the better of the two movies that are shot.
Yeah.
But I think House of a Thousand Corpses is so underrated in it gets forgotten about because of how
Fish
good good old Rainn Wilson.
Yeah. Fish boy.
I loved the whole opening scene of House of a Thousand Corpses when you have Captain Spaulding in. He's like, "Fuck your mama."
Oh,
Fuck your sister. Fuck your grandma.
fuck
So
daddy
good.
too. And
Good old,
like
good old
Doctor
Sid
Satan
Haig.
is actually fucking terrifying when you realize it's a real thing. Like you're like, fuck, this guy's in a bunker just
Yeah,
operating on fuckers. It's like,
and
wow,
then like the big lurch guy, and like it's
amazing, man.
the whole movie was just phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of my favorite.
Um,
One of my favorite. Yeah, like that Rob Zombie when he does his own original shit like that.
sure, I got torn out of it on a Facebook page there the other day. It was like, if you could give Rob Zombie any horror movie to remake, what would it be? And I was like, none, absolutely zero.
Yeah.
Do not let that man near a remake of anything.
I agree though, but I tell you what, if you want them to make something maybe original and give them some time to
Yeah,
think about it with a bit of a budget, all over it.
just don't cast his wife.
No, do I like her?
No, don't.
She's
Just can't
easy.
act.
She's easy on
That's true, but just can't act. Right.
Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees. Look
Mm.
at these.
It's just Barbie Firefly will be forever synonymous for her. It doesn't matter how many movies she done.
Oh no, 100%, and she was fantastic in the roles. But look,
Yeah.
hey, you gotta. We all have. Well, Ted's all right. He's a bachelor, but we know what the old wife is like if we're told to do something.
Yeah, but it's also like, listen, horror has always had the kind of thing of it doesn't always need to be a great actress. Like sometimes it's just let's just get a pretty girl in. Don't worry about whether she can fucking act or not. The whole point is that she's pretty because we get to put her on the screen and say, "Come look at our film," and you'll get people that'll go because it'll be like, "That looks alright," because one looks
And-
alright.
I'm gonna put the bold statement out here now. That's Bill Moseley's best role. That beats Chop Top.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely beats Chop Top. All ends up.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Well,
All right,
it's on
that's
to me.
that's mine. Back to you, Eno.
I've gone with I wouldn't even call it a B movie. I'd call it probably a C movie. But I've gone up a year from my last movie, so I've gone from 1985 to 1986 here. You'd see I'm keeping the 90s ones
Till the end.
Being a cunt
Suspense.
he is.
for y'all. I have went with Night of the Creeps.
Good show.
Yeah.
Like when you think of unsung heroes of the horror genre, this is without a shadow of a doubt one of them.
I put this up there with the likes of Creepshow and stuff.
Yep, 1,000,000%.
Just flights along.
And the thing is, Creepshow was obviously, I couldn't call it an unsung hero because Creepshow 1 and 2 are they
Loved.
get, they get their
well
due.
known, yeah.
Night of the Creeps is absolutely, because it's essentially like a sci-fi comedy horror,
Everything.
everything like, and don't forget it was actually it was Freddie Decker's first movie as well. Like it was his feature like debut. So
We also mentioned his next movie then earlier on in Monster Squad.
but there you go. So I mean, and plus it has literally the unsung hero of the 80s horror movie genre, Mr. Tom Atkins. Like,
He's not an unsung hero.
but
He's
he is
just a
now.
hero.
Well, he's forgotten though.
Yeah.
But he is forgotten by time unless you are like. Don't forget,
Fan.
this is kind of a niche audience. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
true.
So
I mean, Tom Atkins in Halloween 3 as well. It's just
he's just deadly, man. There's something about him that you're just like, I like this guy. He's an ugly
Yeah.
man. No offense, Tom. But like, he looks better with age, and you're like, there he is getting all the hot young chicks, like just because he's
doing a Tom Selleck on it.
cool. Yeah, he's like Tom Selleck if you ordered him from Wish.
Yeah,
you know?
what happens? I ordered Selleck and I got an Atkins.
But this guy is really cool, so I think I'll keep him. But that's my
Yeah.
fifth.
Good show.
Whatever.